Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Only just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now.
Welcome to the HVAC Guide for Homeowners live show, where we talk about all things HVAC that no one is talking about, answering your questions live. Sometimes we are joined by other pros in the chat who might know answers to questions that I don't. Tonight, we have two special guests that are experts in our industry. But before we bring on Thaddeus and Evan, let's take a moment for a few housekeeping matters. The first thing is, a lot of you know, if in case you don't know, the live show is moving to its own home. So we have a whole new YouTube channel for the live show only. If you're watching us right now on the HVAC Guide for Homeowners YouTube channel, you want to make sure you get subscribed to the live show channel. And the way you do that is you go to our channel. You can go right to the HVAC Guide for Homeowners YouTube channel, scroll all the way to the bottom, and make sure you subscribe to the live channel, because it won't be much longer. I don't know when, but very, very soon you won't see this fat face on the homeowners channel. It will only have content that are for you guys, for homeowners, and videos for you guys only on that channel. So all these videos, like when we bring on these guys that are experts at other cool things, the live show is going to have its own home, right? Where we talk about all these cool things, right? So make sure you're subscribed to the new channel if you do nothing else tonight. The next thing is, next week, I'll be flying solo. It'll just be me. We'll be answering your questions live. Make sure you're here again next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. Last but not least, let's pay the bills and thank the sponsor for tonight's episode.
I wanted to take a quick break and tell you about something I'm doing outside of educating folks on our YouTube channel. If you're a service professional of any type, you don't have to be an HVAC, I want to invite you to check out our growth groups at newhvacguide.com. They are full of other pros like you that are wanting to grow. You can share strategies, overcome challenges, and unlock your full potential with the supportive community of your peers. Learn from industry experts and proven business tactics tailored specifically for service businesses.
The amount of information that I've gotten out of this has been unparalleled value. And I've learned so much from the other guys in the group, what to do, sometimes what not to do. It's helped inspire me. I'm really looking forward to what the future holds with it as my company grows and I grow as a person on this call.
Check out the description or the chat for the link. See you soon.
Looks like some of you guys have already hit the like and the heart button. For whoever hit the heart button, man, I'm just going to give you that right there. But I don't say it enough to you guys. Please hit that like button. Please hit that share button. And I just want to real quick, before we bring on our guests, say hello to all you guys, Gary and Bob, Daniel. I'm not sure I've seen your name before, Daniel. So welcome to the show. Of course, Tony, And then hello to Sam. Sam says, who builds Duquesne AC units? I'm in Orlando, Florida. I think Duquesne is a Linux product, but answering that quickly so we can get our guests on here. Tonight's guests are experts in the HVAC field, helping thousands of HVAC professionals and companies with their marketing expertise and company called On Purpose Media. They also host the #1 podcast and live show called HVAC Success Secrets Revealed. Their show is unique in that it shares many secrets as well as episodes with a fun atmosphere, known to have a drink or two during the show. I appreciate them taking the time to be here. Everyone, please welcome Thaddeus and Evan Hoffman. Let's go.
I like that. That is pretty much part and parcel for how we operate.
I think some of those ladies had their shirts off and everything. They were lined up outside waiting for you guys. And, that's the way our studio looks outside right now. That whole crowd.
We'll get the Mardi Gras beads ready.
It was just like game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, eh?
There you go, with the Edmonton Oilers fan.
You guys up in Canada, the hockey's way bigger than what I remember growing up. So this is like you guys are right now is a big deal, right?
Yeah, last night, specifically for me, Evan's not a big hockey follower, but myself, I'm an Edmonton Oilers fan, and they were playing Game 7 last night. But actually funny, just before we got on, I saw the article that last night's game was the most televised game in NHL history in the last 20 years for viewership of like 15.5 million. Well, 8 million came from Canada.
Wow. That's a really cool stat though. Why is it so popular versus last year, for example?
I think it's partly the teams that are in there. And like last year's Stanley Cup final, for example, was a blowout. I mean, the Game 5 win from Las Vegas on Florida was like a 9-3 showing or something like that. So people are like, okay, it's basically out of reach. Where this one, they came back from a 3-0 deficit and forced a Game 7. It's the third time in history that's ever happened in the Stanley Cup finals. And one of in 50% of the time, well, now only 33%, the team that is down goes on to win. And so it was just a pivotal moment and a Cinderella story for a team that was basically considered a write-off 20 games into the season.
Very cool.
That's why. Yeah.
I went to my first hockey game just a handful of years ago, and you guys are crazy. I mean, I was in the nosebleeds. Like a buddy of mine, I'd never sit up that high usually, but a buddy of mine bought the tickets, and I heard a lot of swearing. I heard a lot of screaming. I was just like, even way up here, these guys are passionate. The referees cannot hear you. Will you calm down, sir?
No. Well, it's not that much different than a college football game down there.
Right?
Touche.
Yeah. It's different.
Only they serve alcohol at the game. That's the only difference.
Yeah. It's openly encouraged to drink.
Yeah.
So
there's just no tailgating because it's too cold outside.
Well, y'all should tailgate, go shirtless, really get, soak it in. But anyway,
bring in your inner Wim Hof when it's cold outside.
So I've never had anybody like you guys on our show, right? What you guys is, I don't know. It's a whole nother sector of the HVAC industry. Right. And so I guess if y'all could just start out by sharing, what exactly do you do? What do you do for, say, a contractor, and what's maybe different from, say, behind what you do versus, I don't know, other companies or posers, if you will, folks that try to do things right, if that makes sense.
Sure. So I can answer half of that, and then Evan can take the other half. We'll talk about what we do, and then he can talk about how we're and why we're different. And so basically, I know a lot of the individuals that are listening here are homeowners. And so if you were to search AC repair near me, for example, is a pretty big search term for a lot of homeowners, or furnace repair near me, depending on the time of the season and where you're at. When you see the ad pop up at the top, so Hey, Fred Clark, how you all? So one of our clients actually listening on an Evans feed. So so when you search AC repair and you see there's a few different things that you see. So one, you're going to see a Google guaranteed or a big green check mark beside a name. Well, that's what they call local service ads, and that's a pay to play marketplace for a consumer. And so or for a business rather, to be able to show there. Then you're going to see below that, you're going to see sponsored, and it's going to be the blue text with the white writing underneath, and those are Google ads. Now people pay to show up there, and we are the ones who help them optimize the ad creative that goes there, as well as where that goes after somebody clicks on that. And then when you see the other search results below it, that's where you see the search engine optimization. And what we do is help HVAC business owners to be able to show up there when somebody searches AC repair. Also with their Google, a lot of times in Google, you're going to see in between the listings below that and the sponsored ads, you're going to see a map with a business and some reviews and such. And we help businesses make sure that their profile is optimized. So when somebody searches AC repair near me, now there's different places where that business is going to land to be able to show up, to be able to get business when somebody searches there. Now, from that, when the person lands on the website, that's where a lot of what we do is. And so we build a website that a consumer lands on and a contractor has to be able to provide the information when it is ready and relevant the most. And actually, one question that I'd love to ask for people is when you search, when you land on a website, when you're searching AC repair, what is the one thing that you're trying to accomplish the most when you're on a website? And so that's part of what we do. Now, how we're different, Evan can handle that unless I missed something in our explanation of how we do it for a homeowner.
No, I think that was great. I think you did a very, very great job of explaining that in layman's terms, if you will.
I try not to go technical. I know I can get a little techie.
No, that was awesome. In terms of what makes us different, one, when we're building a website, when we're putting out any kind of content, when we're trying to help our clients to show up on Google when you're searching for those things, one, we're very transparent with our clients and we're very honest with our clients. And we really want to help homeowners get the answers to their questions. So oftentimes we'll get a client that'll push back and say like, hey, I don't like this on my website, or I don't like how this looks on the website. Can you make it look more modern? Can you make it look more fancy, like an Apple site or something like that? And, we need to push back on that and say, hey, we're not building the website for you to like it. We need to build it for homeowners to understand what it is that you do and make it simple for them to communicate with you however they want to. The more hoops that we make a homeowner try to jump through to contact a business, the more difficult it is for that business to get that lead to come into their business. So we're very transparent, we're very honest, and we're willing to do what it takes to help businesses win. And I know you said Daniel Miller hasn't been watching on your channel too much. He runs a really cool business helping contractors to boost their presence on social media. So running reels, doing video, he'll come out and do an on-site with you. But he is a technician himself. So he's got both sides of it as well, which similar to you in the solution that you created with this channel, it was how can we communicate better to our audience, which is homeowners.
Yeah, I you guys had me on your show, and I remember when we first started talking, and it was like, do we actually have anything in common, right? I mean, would it make sense for you guys to have somebody that does content for homeowners on your show, and would it make sense for me to have you guys on my show? But I think it's really cool, specifically for my show, for homeowners to hear what you guys are doing, and specifically, that side of things, because I think part of the battle too, the internet is a level playing field, right? So when you go on the internet, you see two websites. A lot of homeowners don't know, am I looking at a website for a company that only has 2 employees and, they're horrible? Not saying all companies with 2 employees are horrible, but you know what I'm saying. Or am I looking at, the Nordstrom of the HVAC industry here? Like, which one am I looking at here? And so I think that it's important for those companies that are doing things right from a business standpoint, but also a marketing standpoint, am I a fit for you, Mr. Homeowner? And you guys can help them show the homeowner? Sometimes the answer is no, but also the answer is sometimes yes, and they need to know, hey, we're a fit here. They're going to take care of my need here.
Well, and
So
that's a good thing that you mentioned that too, because you think about it, the average in terms of like revenue size for an HVAC business is $2 million and under, and so you get a lot of individuals that are on that size, 3, 4, 5, 6 employees, kind of depending on their efficiencies inside their business, and so they are a small business, and so how can the smaller businesses who do great work, by the way, not and I know that there's some people like, well, I had a bad experience with a contractor. Yeah, guess what? People have had bad experiences with digital marketing companies too. People have had bad experiences anywhere in any industry, in any organization. Heck, some people have had bad experiences at Nordstrom because of the person that they interact with, right? So it's not just related to one particular company and that paints the whole brush, but how can now a smaller company have this persona to say, hey, I've invested into a great image. I want to be able to show that I take care of my people, even though I want to still be a smaller company. That's where somebody can have a great website to be able to do that.
I like it.
Yeah.
Bob's asking about the new channel. Bob, if you go to our channel, go to our channel and scroll to the bottom, you should see it. If you don't, just search HVAC Guide live show and it should pop up. So, what's something that homeowners would be surprised to hear about what you guys do? Is there anything that, might be sometimes, I don't want to say secretive, but just something that is not secretive, but they would be surprised by, especially when you guys are working directly with the contractor?
We're constantly trying to manipulate them.
I knew it.
But I mean, honestly, not far from the truth, just in a different way.
Yeah, right. No, I think it's something that would surprise them.
I mean, I'll buy you some time. So there's two. And so like you said, the manipulation part, something that surprised them is the amount of consumer psychology that goes into, let's say a website, for example, in looking at, okay, well, where does somebody actually look when they first land on a website? It's something called the golden ratio, and it's a design element. And you actually see this in nature quite a bit. What happens is generally people start at one part and they actually form a circle in and around, and then they hone in into the middle part, right? And so they, generally speaking, it's top left through to top right, down around to bottom right, bottom left, in and around into the circle, and then you keep kind of in and around in the circle. And that's kind of a consumer psychology aspect of things in a visualization, not just a website, generally graphics in a sense. So that might be one thing that could surprise people, is that, okay, there's actually a lot of forethought that goes into building something like a website. The other part is that it actually takes about 6 weeks, give or take 2, to fully build a website. I think some people might misunderstand the amount of time that goes into some of the marketing aspects of things. And if they think of it as a spigot, well, you turn it off, water comes out, you turn it off, water stops. So it's not quite the same in a marketing sense. It actually is, it takes time to ramp it up. It's not just an on or off switch.
I like that. That's a good point. I think that, so when I built my website for my company, cause I did it myself, I probably did, it was probably a level 2 compared to your level 10. But to me, there were certain things that, I feel like a lot of companies miss the boat on as far as when someone lands on that page, they want to know pretty quickly, are you going to be able to help me? Right. For example, if I want to call you, have your stinking phone number somewhere on there. I mean, it amazes me how many companies don't even do that. But of course, these days, I'm sure you guys have all kinds of tools. It's not just phone numbers. There's ways to connect with chats and all kinds of different tools that allow the homeowner to direct, to interact or communicate with are y'all working with any tools like that? Anything specific?
Yeah, well, and Evan even alluded to it earlier, is meeting you, the homeowner, where you're at and how you want to interact with the business. Who is the business to dictate how you want to interact with them? Now, some businesses want to push it all to a book online link, and where you just go and you book online, and you don't actually have to go and talk to anybody. You just self-diagnose your problem with some drop-down widgets. It gives you a choice of times. You book it. Great. That's a great way to meet some people. But there might be other people on here that are like, I would much rather phone the business. I'd rather have a conversation with somebody. Okay, well, now you've got to put a phone number on there to be able to have them call. Now, the other part is, if you're a homeowner and you leave a message or the person doesn't answer, what's your likelihood of waiting around for somebody? Thinking about an AC repair, for example, if it's hot as heck out, or if it's cold and your furnace is down, you're probably going to call somebody to answer. So now, is there an AI tool that a business is using to be able to help answer the call, to be able to vet it, to be able to send it to a human once they're ready? Or maybe it's just full AI, and some people are okay with a full AI booking and some people aren't. By the way, I would also, if there are some businesses out here, I would fully disclose that it is an AI assistant, because think about, the you and yourself. Like, I don't necessarily want to have a conversation with an AI person, but if they tell me it's an AI assistant to help diagnose and get me there, okay, even better. Or does somebody want to submit a form fill and be okay with a call back because it might not quite be an emergency? So you got to put forms on there. Now you also have a chat widget on the bottom. Now sometimes it's live and it's manual and it does an AI and it helps diagnose via the chat widget, or sometimes it's just a text back widget where you put your information in and it sends a text message, and now you text message back and forth with the consumer. And so thinking about everybody that would be potentially utilizing a service is anywhere from 21 all the way to 97. Well, there's going to be different nuances in making sure that there's different mechanisms to meet a consumer where they're at, because everybody listening wants to interact differently.
Touche.
Well, and that's where, like, as a homeowner, have patience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give it a minute for them to respond, because there is 8, 9, 10 different channels that they might have open at any given time between Home Advisor, Thumbtack, Angie's List, Nextdoor, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. Like, who knows all the channels that a business might be attracting consumers to their business. So have some patience for them to find your message and reach back out to you. And if they didn't answer right away, pick up the phone and call them, because they will answer that.
In a world where everything seems to be moving towards AI, anyone that has a problem with it, I would say at times dealing with some of the...
Oh, he froze, didn't he? It's a good thing we're
channel takeover,
right? Channel takeover. Let's go. I'm hoping. I was trying to allude to and read to thinking where he's going to go with AI. Do you have any hidden guesses, Evan?
Can you hear me now? I just switched networks.
We were about to just start taking over the channel. We're going to boot you out.
Yeah, this is a hostile takeover. I knew it. I was just going to say, in today's world, with some of the folks that I've had to deal with when it comes from a customer service standpoint, maybe, just maybe, it might be a good thing to deal with AI from time to time. I mean, some of these folks that I'm like, who taught you how to deal with customers?
Well, and that is the nice thing with AI, I will say, is that if it happens to make a mistake, you train it once and it will never make that mistake again. So when it comes to customer service and handling issues, you will get your questions answered because it is trained properly.
I can say from a contractor standpoint, there's not a lot of originality when it comes to what I do. I would say it might be new to that homeowner, but there's usually about 10 spiels, 10, elevator pitches, answers to their questions. It's usually the same question, different face. And so having that and being able to train that AI, hey, this is how I would answer that. That's probably right on point. I mean, I think that's a really good point. So,
and to that stance, I will also say, one of the things that I love to do when we're writing content for any of our clients is answering real questions, right? And there's a great book by Marcus Sheridan called They Ask You Answer. And he built a pool business, a concrete pool business, off of just answering people's questions that nobody else would actually answer. Things like, how much does it cost? And we'll write content for clients and work with them on how to write that so that it's nuanced to their area. But we want to make sure that we're answering real questions that customers have and meeting them where they're at.
You guys ever have any disagreements? You guys are, both partners, right? So do y'all ever bump heads at all?
Nah, never. I actually think of quite frequently. We have disagreements on a lot of different things in terms of our business and being business partners and different perspectives on things, because our wavelengths, while we're the same, are also thought processes are completely different in how we look at things. I think that's why our podcast is a good yin and a yang, because the questions and the ways and the wavelengths on which we go are the same, but different. So yes, disagreements happen quite frequently. I think it's just like any even married couple for that. I mean, we've been business partners for 4.5 years and known each other for 15. And so like we've known each other for quite some time. Any relationship is going to go through conflict.
I'm just, so when I first started my business, I was supposed to have a partner, but I look back and I think there's probably pros and cons to having a partner, or not having a partner. But I just, looking back, I'm sure it would not have worked out. Anyway, I'm just thinking about some of the interactions and some of the, when I get down there, I'm whooping somebody, and then this one guy, he'd say, "You're not whooping him." I'd be like, "I'll find a chair and hit him with it. I don't care." It's going down.
WWE style. Well, it's funny. I actually remember this vividly when Evan and I were looking at going in and starting our digital agency together, and I remember asking him the question. I'm like, "Well, so Evan, if we go down this road and in the short term it doesn't work out and something happens and we go Splitsville, are you okay if we never talk to each other again for the rest of our lives?" Literally a question I asked him before we even started our business. He's like, "Yeah, you?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Great, let's go
without hesitation."
With zero hesitation at all, because we were work acquaintances. We didn't we knew ish of each other's lives, but really, and like now, if you asked us that question, well, I mean, there'd be a hole in my heart.
Oh, the show just took a turn,
right?
I'm gonna start crying.
I think that's really good though, because if you are gonna take a partner in business, it sounds like you guys took the leap with someone that maybe you knew it would be a good business decision, not necessarily a good friendship decision.
Yeah, it was. I was looking for some unbalanced math, right? In that 1 + 1 can't equal 2. If it just equals 2, then what's the point? Just do it on your own. 1 + 1 needed to equal 3, 5, 7, 11, right? And when you get that multiplier effect by bringing different ideas to the table, different thought processes to the table, different values and beliefs to the table, then we're able to expand because we can get into our own seats in the business to be able to help thrive and move the business forward.
Have y'all ever had someone with an odd request? Like, it sounds like you guys have it figured out. There's a system in place. But have you ever had someone that's like, I don't care what your system is, I've got this weird request or this off the wall way of y'all have any stories on that front?
None with clients that we've worked with. I've had some request it during the original sales call discovery. We call it a first date, right? The discovery call. It's an opportunity to kind of meet with a contractor, see if we're going to be a good fit for one another, right? And sometimes you go on a date and it's just not the right fit and you never want to talk to them again. So yeah, there's certainly been a couple of those.
Yeah, it's back to my real life dating.
Care to share their names and, just call them out here, or no? Okay.
No, they probably still do good work. Just might not be the right fit for us. So,
but even still, we've had in going back to the website design example, and we've had some clients who are the right fit, and when we show them what we want to do for a website, they don't like it. They push back and they want something completely different. Well, we have to take the stance to educate them a little bit on why we're doing what we're doing in order to be able to adequately get you the business that you want, right? It's about in thinking about going back to the website and looking at meeting consumers where they're at. Well, we can have the world's most fanciest graphic heavy website that may look good, but it's not going to convert because it's going to confuse the homeowners on what they're trying to find. Or we can have a little bit more of a simplistic website that still looks good, that gives the information and doesn't actually confuse somebody. Because the worst thing is that a confused mind says no. And then you think about your audience, right? If you're sitting there and you're looking at a website and there's graphics popping off all over the place and your eyes are getting confused and where to even look, you're like, I'm out. Right? Can't find my information like that, right? We live in an instant gratification society, sadly, and people want that information right off the hop. And if you can't do that, then okay, well then maybe we're not the right fit. And we take that educational approach, just like I'm sure that you guys, like with you do with the HVAC guide and educating homeowners. Well, we have to educate contractors too, that what they think they want isn't actually what they need.
I sent you guys some potential questions before our show. I don't know if you had a chance to look at those, but one of those questions talks about a goofy invention. Did either one of you come up with a goofy invention?
I don't know if it was. No, yes, my buddy's idea. I can't take it. I can't take it. I was about to say it, but I can't take it.
Is it the blanket, or was that something else?
No, that was a cousin. He did the No More Wet Spot blanket. If you've ever seen the infomercials for that, so I don't know if that's goofy. I mean, I think it probably works for a lot of people.
Wait, it's a real product?
Yeah, No More Wet Spot. This show's about to take a turn. Rated R coming up. 18A. Put on the earmuffs. He's Googling out what No More Wet Spot is.
Oh, it's bad. It's something bad.
No,
it's not bad. It's actually very helpful.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was like, is this one of those gullibles written on the ceiling things?
Yeah. So if you go to, it's just nomorewetspot.com. It's a waterproof play blanket. Play in quotes.
Got it. I'm such a third grader sometimes. That's so your friend invented that. So yeah, there's a place for that. Yeah. Somebody sewed sleeves on a blanket at one point and called it a Snuggie and became a millionaire. So
right?
It's true.
You're only
There's
one great
ideas
idea
out
away. You're only one great idea away.
I will say, yeah, the blanket works wonders. The massage gel is a little strange.
This episode's going to go down in the record books. I think it's already taking a turn here. So
nothing's really off limits for us. So
apparently, do you guys have any success stories? Anybody that you've worked with that they just exploded after you guys started helping them?
I just like that.
Not putting that on the screen.
Oh, I'm going to read it. So the third sleeve on that Snuggie where it's at. That's the comment that he doesn't want to put on the screen.
You can tell that's from my channel. Thanks.
There it is. It's funny. I actually tried to click on it to see if I, as a guest, could put it up, but I was sadly was denied.
That's funny. Sorry, what was the question? Success stories.
Yeah, success stories.
Yeah, we've. I mean, one of my favorites was a contractor that reached out to us. He was only at like 400,000 in revenue. He I can't tell if this is another Snuggie joke there from Michael or not, but
Combo between that and the no more wet spot.
Yeah, he was just over 400,000, and last year he did over 3 million. We've only been working with him for a couple of years now, but his business has absolutely taken off. It's been so much fun working with them because they're just such a down to earth couple that is running the business, husband and wife. They've been able to hire and grow their team. They started into new construction, and as soon as he told me about that contract, started like planning out with him, hey, use this as your recruiting tool, because new construction is really difficult to be profitable. So you need to make sure that you're watching your numbers incredibly tightly when you're doing it. But this is where you can send those guys that are a little bit more green, because then they can get in there and do the same work over and over and over and over. And now they start to learn the systems and how they work and how to troubleshoot anything that's not working when you did the install. And now you can pull that tech off of the new construction, bring them into the service side of the business and get them to start working on that. So yeah, he's done a tremendous job down there. One of our clients that's in Hamilton, Ontario, 99-year-old company, and just turned 100 this year. It was their great grandfather's business that started it, and then their parents took it over, and now they're taking it over. No, sorry, it was great grandparents that took it over, or that started it. Anyways, yeah, they're tremendous guys. But last year they had their best month ever, 6 months out of the year. So took them from a $6 million business to over 8 million. And now again this year we've already had their best month ever again, in months where you would never expect it. Especially in Canada, where you get a lot of shoulder seasons and some long shoulder seasons, and they're doing a tremendous job there, helping them with their organic and their PPC. So those are just a couple that off the top of my head that I can think of. I mean, Fred Clark that was chiming in here hit his first $1 million year last year.
Let's go.
Yeah. So, and he's down in Pueblo, Colorado, where Grant Cardone did his Millionaire in 90 Days or whatever that show was that he did. Fred's doing a tremendous job again, having a record year this year. So yeah, it's fun working with contractors all across the country with a variety of different stories.
I knew Fred wasn't near me at all because he said you all. He didn't say y'all.
I didn't drop the y'all. There wasn't an apostrophe in there.
And I knew he wasn't anywhere near me. So
But here's the funny thing is that we say y'all. I mean, Evan and I say it quite a bit, but we're from Canada. So maybe it's because we're in Alberta.
We drop a y'all, eh?
Oh, no good about it.
What is a mistake that you see contractors or just businesses make with your marketing knowledge? What's something that you see people doing wrong from time to time? Is there like a common mistake you see them making?
Well, there's a lot.
That's why we started the podcast.
Yeah. I think
shout out to Michael, by the way, too, because they run a great blueprint program where they lay out how to solve all those issues and run you through a full course. But yeah, go ahead, Thad.
Yeah, I think one of them, I mean, and you kind of not using on purpose media. There you go, Michael. So I think one of them, and you alluded to it earlier yourself, Joshua, is that you look at the customer service, right? When you're answering the phone, you're having interactions and you're having communications with homeowners. And I think a lot of times business owners can sometimes be bothered by the inconvenience that somebody's calling the business. Well, no, stop that, right? Because at the end of the day, when people are calling a heating and cooling company, for the most part, there's a problem there, and there's something that is happening that they're needing to call, and they generally, I mean, you don't really want to call to get your air conditioner fixed or your furnace fixed or to replace. You just want it to work, right? And so understanding that there's a pain point, there's a friction there, and that if you can match the homeowners where they're at, and this is in the folks that are homeowners that are listening, are like, yes, because now when you have this customer experience on there, when you actually treat people how they want to be treated, now you can actually have a better experience, and now that creates continuity in the entire process. Because if you have this friction, and if you don't answer your phone, and you don't have this empathy about you, well, you're going to actually do a disservice to those folks. And so it's more of a, it's not necessarily in marketing, but it's a marketing, it's a congruency of marketing, and goes along the lines. It's like if you're to send 100 phone calls to a contractor business, well, they only answer 40 of them. Well, there's 60 people that are going to be moving on to somebody else because they want to find a solution to their problem quicker, sooner than later. So if you can pivot that, and maybe you answer 60, 70, or even 80 calls, shit. I mean, if you can even answer 99% of your calls, what would that do?
Well, not just answer it, but answer it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Second ring at the latest. Meet the customer where they're at. Like you said, nobody's excited to get their air conditioner replaced today. That's not a purchase that most people are looking forward to, unless they've never had an air conditioner in their life. Then they're pretty excited about it, right?
3 years ago,
you were pretty excited to make that purchase. But yeah, it's not something that people look forward to on a daily basis. And when it breaks, it's an incredibly frustrating thing. And then on top of that, now you've got to try and find a company that you can trust, because homeowners are frustrated with a lot of trades businesses, home service businesses. They're afraid of getting ripped off. There's a lack of trust there. And when you can meet them with empathy, and you can actually over deliver on the experience and make them feel as comfortable as possible, when you have images on your website that actually represent your company, when you have a welcome message from the owner talking about how excited you are to serve them and to take care of them, and to let them know that they never have to look for another HVAC company again, because you're going to over deliver for them. That's how you can really meet the customer where they're at, and connect with them on a level that no one else is.
Yeah, you were talking about having empathy when they call, and I remember talking to a former employee and trying to explain that to them. A homeowner, when they're calling you, they don't want to hear, "Hey, I'm so glad you called." They want to hear, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry you're going through that. Let me get someone over there to take care of you." It's just different. It's you got to have some empathy there. Emery says, let's see. Had to replace my unit due to refrigerant overcharge that strained the compressor.
That's frustrating.
Okay. I'm not sure what the question was there, but sorry to hear that, Emery. Let's see.
I hope that the company warranted their work and stood behind it and took care of you, but that's frustrating.
Yep. So what is we talked about what's a big mistake you see folks contractors making. What's something that what's something that they could do to, I don't know, grow, or to really get that phone ringing, and maybe a better way to say that, you guys have said that some companies are not a fit. They're not open to the way you're doing it, or you're not open to trying to do it the way they want you to do it, or however that works. But, I assume there's more than one way to skin a cat here, right? I mean, is there some flexibility there, or are you guys very black and white, and there's this way works, and they need to do it this way? I'm asking y'all some tough questions.
Yeah, there's a little bit of flexibility, but not a whole heck of a lot in a lot of cases. Because at the end of the day, we want to do what's right for them. We've had contractors come to us asking if they can run Google ads for example, and they're incredibly expensive. It's not cheap to run Google ads, and for the homeowners, when you click on that ad, it's costing a contractor anywhere from $30 to $150 just for you to click it, not for you to pick up the phone and call them, not for you to message them, just to click on that ad. It's an incredible investment for businesses. And so coming back to what Thaddeus was talking about with answering your phone, when you don't answer your phone, well, that's money you're just flushing down the toilet. So, for us, we'll have real conversations with contractors and just say like, hey, with your average ticket, with your answering rate, like for us to run Google ads for you doesn't make sense because you're going to lose money. And that's something that we're not okay with. We want to help you grow and expand your business, not walk away with a loss.
That's interesting. So you're saying it's more than just, building them a website and doing some marketing for them. You're saying, look, you need to handle these calls that we're going to bring leads in. We're going to bring calls in, but we think you need to handle them a certain way.
Not necessarily how to handle them a certain way. I mean, you had to have your customer service to actually have customer service, but actually answering the phone is the big one. And I think that's a big problem with a lot of businesses where they miss the mark on actually answering the phone and get kicks to voicemail and then they call back. And really people just, if they're calling you, well, chances are they want to talk to you. So why wouldn't you give them an outlet for them to talk to you? No, granted, there's caveats like after hours, right? You if it's 3 a.m, well, you might not necessarily have the staff or the ability to hire an on-call call center for you at 3 a.m. But guess what? There's tools out there like AI that can be an AI answering assistant for you that does the exact same thing. And now you actually have the ability to connect with that person, grab their information, and get a scheduled callback where you're going to actually call them back. So there's ways that you can enhance the customer experience at the end of the day, because when you deliver a world-class customer experience, that's what's going to matter, because now people want to do business with you.
To come back to your question too on the, like, do we offer coaching or anything else and help them throughout the entire process? No, but we'll refer them to people who can, right? I've had people ask about like a tune-up process and wanting to do ads for a tune-up in the shoulder season, because it's a great way to generate business. But if you don't have a proper process in place of how to execute that tune-up in an efficient way to actually over-deliver on the value you're bringing to the homeowner, you need to have a proper process in there. So I'll refer Michael and Rocket X to be able to go through the blueprint, because they've got a tune-up process in there that helps customers fully understand what's happening with their system and present options that might make sense for them based on their needs. If you've got a tech that just goes in there and, changes the filter and checks a couple things, checks the wires, makes sure everything's okay, turns it back on, yeah, everything's running fine, and leaves, and they're done in 20 minutes, well, they're not able to provide any options to the customer. And chances are, as a contractor, you're losing money on that lead.
Yeah, that's interesting. Jimmy says, Virginia on the map. Or Jimmy, are you here? Are you here in Virginia? I gotta tell you, and we may not agree on this, and that's okay. But this whole there are some folks in here posing as, when I say in here, I mean in the industry, that are posing as coaches, and I am not a fan. And a lot of heating and air guys are. I don't know if you guys ever get to hear the feedback from our side of things, but there are a lot of coaches in our industry, and I think they're first of all, they're leeches. They're leeching on our industry. And at the end of the day, if they're able to actually help somebody, then fine. But I think a lot of them are, they're just dirty. It's scammy. It's not a good look for our industry. I think it's great if you can hold a conference and bring a celebrity in and whatever, fine. But I mean, we need to have a come to Jesus moment with some of these guys and say, look, you're making an industry where folks already don't trust a lot of us, and you're making it very dirty. I'm sure your friend Michael is probably doing a lot of cool things, and I don't know him, but I do know even a few names you guys threw out earlier. A little dirty, a little scammy. Why are you in the HVAC industry all of a sudden? Just saying.
Oh, like Uncle G?
I'm not saying any names. I'm just why are you in the, because I don't want to be a hater.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we are,
Yeah.
if you are providing something good and you can help people, then fine. But are you actually helping people, or are you just leeching on an amazing industry that's meant to grow by billions over the next decade? Stop
I
it.
mean, at the end
Stay
of
in
the
your
day,
lane.
they're sales guys, right? And they are trying to make sales, right? I think there's a lot of people who are in the industry who have run businesses, who have been selling techs, who can help a lot of people, and they're doing some really cool things. And then there's others that haven't, and they're hopping into the industry as a billionaire and trying to prey on an industry that they see an opportunity in. Am I mad at it? No, because at the end of the day, it's up to contractors to decipher for themselves what it is that they're going to learn from. I bought a course from him at one point, but I also went into it with the expectation of I'm looking for one idea. If I can find one idea that I can execute on, I'm going to win, and this course was worthwhile. But that's been years of attending courses and seminars and learning from people to say, I'm not here to just like take copious amounts of notes anymore and not implement anything and not execute on anything. I just need one idea, and that's it. And one idea executed extremely well will outperform anyone who takes notes and tries to do everything that they just learned.
It's a valid point. Go ahead, Thaddeus. Sorry.
No, the other part is it's not just the HVAC industry. Come to the digital marketing side, where you have coaches coaching coaches on how to coach coaches to be able to coach more coaches, and then sell a course, even though you've never been a coach that can coaching coaches. Like it's just wild, man. I think our industry is probably, the digital marketing side is probably even more filled with that dirt and grime and that filth of people just trying to make a quick buck than the HVAC industry. It's just you see it quite a bit, and so it's not just that industry. It's the digital marketing side as well. But to allude on Evan's point, it's like, okay, well, is there actually some good that is happening in there? Can you get something from it? And if you were to, we had a podcast episode which was probably went down in history as our most viewed and most commented on episode, and it was somebody who has a love-hate relationship with a lot of people in the space. Now, if you were to put your blinders on and not actually know the guy's name or girl's name that is on the show, and you hear the information, is there valuable information in there without having the name attached to it? Then, and the answer is yes, then okay, then they have to do something. It's just up to the contractors, just like it's up to the homeowner when looking at an HVAC contractor to say, okay, well, I've got to filter out through it. I've got to put my own spidey sense into it. And if the spidey sense is going off on the Mac, well, guess what? Probably should walk away from it.
I think it's a valid point. I don't disagree with anything you guys just said. I think you can find good in a lot of that stuff. Yep. I just think that, again, I'm not hating, but I will say, just like contractors have the
let it out.
Contractors have the right to decide whether or not they want to buy the course. These coaches have the right to do, whatever they want to do. I also have the right to get on my soapbox and say, you're a little scammy there. So
the part that I hate, and I like, I'm on partly on your side. The part that I hate about it, and the part that I dislike, is when you have a coach preaching that they're the best coach ever to be able to coach a business, and they've never actually run a business.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the toughest thing. Like, it's one thing if you've ran a business and you've sold it, and now you're being able to coach because that's what you want to do and fulfill. And I'll caveat this: a successful business and sold it. If you had a business that you grew to $1 million and you're like, I don't really want to run the business anymore, so I sold it, now I'm going to be a coach. Well, okay. Have you actually went through the trials and tribulations to be able to get somebody beyond that? Now, you can learn a lot of those things in a textbook, sure, but there's experience in actually doing it. Now, I have a business degree that I took me 6 years to get a 4-year degree. Actually, it might have been 7 years to get a 4-year degree. I was lazy. I enjoyed
Van Wilder project.
Right, Van Wilder project. I just like school. Actually, I didn't like school. I like being in school. But here's the thing: is running my business now. You know what I've learned from my university degree in running my business? How to read a profit and loss statement. That's it. Because I also took this degree 20 years ago now. Actually, when did I graduate from that? Yeah, about that, 2009. So 15 years ago. Things have changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. I got to tell you guys, our numbers had kind of dwindled a little, had dropped. And then as soon as we got on our soapboxes there for a second, all of a sudden they shot through the roof. We started, so
All the contractors' ears perked up. They're like, wait,
Right?
scammy coaches? I'm in. Hold on.
Facebook is listening. They're like, "Ooh, coaches, let's bump this up
Hold
the
my
algo."
beer.
I'll have to have you guys back on in a couple months and then just make a list of people that we want to bash. And I bet the ratings will go through the roof. We'll just start bashing a bunch of people.
What are those celebrity roasts that they have? We could just do a HVAC coaches roasts edition.
There you go. Well, let's do this. I'm going to end with a question, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to ask Thaddeus and Evan in just a moment. But if you're here watching, we just talked a little bit about some bad apples in our industry. Let's do this. If you're watching this and you know a good apple, a good HVAC company, a good electrician, a good plumber, drop their name in the chat and where they're located. First of all, you're showing some love to some good apples. But the other thing is, you never know, someone in your area might just see your comment. So drop them in the comment. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put you guys on the spot. We're going to end with this question tonight.
I was going to say, can I just take a screenshot of our clients and where they're located and drop that into the chat?
These are the good ones. Just call them. Yeah, that would be good marketing right there. So I'm going to put you guys on the spot. You guys are not heating and air technicians, but I would probably argue that you probably know more than the average bear. You know more than, Mrs. Jones, who knows nothing about the industry at all. You've probably rubbed elbows with some really smart folks in our industry. So that being said, I want to end tonight. Again, you guys, folks in the chat, make sure you drop those good companies. But while we're doing that, if each of you could take a moment and just share, if you were to give mom some advice. Mom's about to buy a heating and air system. She doesn't know where to start. She doesn't know who to call, and she needs some advice. What's the one piece of advice that you would give her before she goes down this journey of getting her system repaired or replaced?
Sorry, I was looking at Evan's comment. The first thing to do is ask some of your friends who they have had come up for them, because generally friends that have done the work, they've had a generally a positive experience. And usually when hey, Vulcan Canada just said that I'm in Calgary, so they actually were in the. I was actually down at the Okotoks parade the other day, and the Vulcan had the Starship Enterprise in the in the parade. It says come visit Vulcan, so I love that. But anyway, so asking homeowners or asking your friends who they've used to be able to do that. Then. On top of that is going in and looking at Google reviews, and not just all the good reviews. Look at the bad reviews too, to see how the business responded back to those negative Google reviews. Sometimes it's just a misunderstanding, and don't read too much into all of the negative reviews, because somebody on their soapbox got somewhere, had a bad experience. And like I said earlier, at the start of the show, every business has a some bad experience somewhere along the lines, right? It happens. It's human nature. It's business. Okay. So, but it's important to see how they interacted and how they handled that. From there, when you do have somebody come in, I am always subscribed to the philosophy of get 3 quotes. That's been something that's ingrained to me to be able to see, okay, well, is there a congruency in what they're saying? Is there a lot of the same things? Are they saying the same thing? Now, if you get 3 and they're all out to lunch, well, don't choose one of those 3. Go and actually look for 2 more to be able to try to get 3 that are quite similar. And then know, like, trust. Who do you feel like you know? Who do you like and who do you trust? And when you have that, by the way, hidden nugget there for contractors, when you're looking at the companies and you find somebody that you know, like, and trust, that's who you know to call.
I like it. And how about you, Evan?
I'll be honest, I missed the question because I was wanting to put your YouTube link on my Facebook where there were a bunch of people watching. So,
oh, cool. Well, thank you for that.
no worries.
No, the question is, again, I know you're not a heating and air technician, but you've rubbed elbows, I'm sure, with some really good ones. What's the one piece of advice you're giving mom if her air conditioning's not working before she starts down this path of getting it repaired or replaced?
Oh, you said one piece. I went like three. My bad.
Oh, no,
Done,
yeah.
man. Over
Feel free.
deliver. Over deliver.
Yeah, just unload.
So here's the hard part for me, and this is why I'm hesitating, is because it is situational, right? Like it's 100 degrees outside, your kids are frustrated, they just you want your kids to sleep tonight, like completely different scenario than when it's 78 and you would like it to be 72 inside. You've got more time at that point, and you can do more research, and you can talk to more people, and you can vet more people. But yeah, if you're in an emergency, the first things that I would look through, like Thad said, the reviews, number one. Number two, do they have actual photos on their website? Do they have pictures of the owner? That's a quick indication as to whether or not they have the experience and they care. Because if they've got pictures of their actual technicians and pictures of the owner right on the homepage, they're willing to put their name out there.
There's a nugget.
Probably worth giving them a shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also a nugget back to contractors, that get actual photos on your site, because it's a trust building thing.
They don't have to be professional. If you've got a helper with a tech doing some work, just take photos of the jobs do like with the jobs. Make sure you can see a logo on your shirt. That's it.
Yeah. And then, yeah, just ask real questions and feel it out. Like, trust your gut. When you're on the phone with them, do they sound like they care? When they're talking to the technician, when they're in the home, did they take their time? Did they put on their booties? Did they lay down the mat at the door? Do they seem like they're an expert at what it is that they do, that they're sharp as a tack, that you feel like you're going to be okay? And don't go for the cheapest option, because good stuff isn't cheap and cheap stuff isn't good.
I'll be honest, Victor, I don't know you well enough, but I'll just say, if you are one of those guys, then I'm not calling anybody out, but there are some crazy ones out there. So anyway,
I will actually wade into the Victor convo here, because I like Victor, and I have a ton of respect for what he's accomplished over the last little while. I would say Victor 3.5-4 years ago probably was one of those guys. And I will straight up, and I will tell him this at any point in time, I think Victor now is not one of those guys. Look at what he's doing with fast response down in Dallas, and he's actually putting his money where his mouth is, and his mouth where his money is. And he's actually doing what his blueprint has been designed to be able to do. And that's where I allude back to before is, okay, do you want a coach who has never done it before? Or you're not saying this is him, but I've known other people that have sold their business for like $1 million, and they didn't have any of the experience to be able to do that. And they said, "Oh, well, it was me. I didn't make any mistakes." Well, no, he was on our podcast a couple of weeks ago, opening up and saying, "Hey, I made a ton of mistakes. I bought a business that was way over value. I went into debt. I wasn't running it right. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing this. I wasn't doing this. I learned a lot from it." Okay? And that's where the power comes in, of having somebody who's actually been there, done that. And so that's why I say him 3 years ago, absolutely rake him over the coals. He would have been one of those guys. Not now. My hot take. There you go. I said it. So
I'll say this in case Victor's in case Victor's still here. So I have a mastermind where I meet with other contractors, guys that are fighting the fight. I think there is a place for coaching in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so
1000%.
the thing with Victor and probably several others, as long as their heart's in the right place, I've literally had guys in our mastermind. I had one time, he's like, "Hey, I hope he's okay with me saying this. I'm not saying his name, so he probably should be, but he's like, can we have a chat after the call tonight?" And I said, "Sure." And he broke down crying, because these guys are fighting. They're working their guts out and not getting ahead. And they're questioning life. Did I make the right decision going self-employed? Am I, all these different things. And I think there's a place for helping these guys, right? That's the whole reason I started my masterminds. But, you know, again, if you are coaching others, and I'm not talking to Victor specifically, I'm just saying in general, if you're just, as long as your heart's in the right place and you're trying to help folks, then I have no problems with it. I don't know. I think when I start seeing folks that are, they've never built a heating and air company, and then now they're going to coach you on how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're, anyway, I'll
Well,
leave it with that.
Here's the other part too, is there's tons of best practice groups and in heck, on our marketing agency, I mean, we're part of 2 and we've got a consultant as a 3rd, right? So like right there, we've got 3 that we're leveraging for our marketing company. And now here's the other part about best practice groups in the HVAC side of things, is that there's other parts where you could have all of the tools there. It's the same best practice group. It has all the information. And I mean, let's use the Victor's Blueprint, for example, phenomenal resource. But it's only as good as the people that are working the blueprint. Okay? You can go to anyone, call it CEO Warrior. I know that they've had a lot of people naysaying about them, in not so much recently, but before, that, the best practice group's a scam, it's shady, it just takes your money and whatever. But yet you've got others that are crushing it and rocking and rolling with it. Well, okay, at what point does it now become on the person that is actually following the best practice group to do the work and put the work in, right? Running a business isn't easy. It's in fact, it's extremely difficult, no matter what industry that you're in, but it's only as good as the tools that you leverage and that you actually put in place.
Evan, you looked like you were going to say something a little bit ago, and I kind of cut you off. Did you have something else that you wanted to add before we wrap up?
Well, one of the things you mentioned there was, the contractor who's sitting there thinking, did I make the right decision going into business for myself? I don't know if there's an entrepreneur out there that hasn't asked themselves that at one point or another. So I wouldn't judge too harshly on that part of it, but I think more people need to ask themselves that before they actually start the business. And I really wish more contractors would open up their books and say, this is what it takes to actually run a business. Because I think you would retain more of your top technicians if you did that, number one. And I think you would set up better relationships with competitors in the market who end up leaving your business because they were probably going to do it anyways. So why not have another ally on your side as opposed to an enemy in the market? Because you closed them off, because you kicked them out the door right away as soon as they said that they might be interested in opening up a business. You fired them, whatever. You just salted a relationship. And I would way rather have another friend in my corner that's running a business in the industry. And yeah, we're still fighting for the same customers and the same clients, but there's so many fish in the sea. Like there's room for everyone to succeed, and there's an abundance mindset that exists. And I think if you open up your books and you're honest with people and you believe in the good in people, then you're going to end up attracting more bees with honey.
Well, and I like this point, and this is actually good for homeowners to understand too. I actually ran a training for this with our team the other day on how much it costs per day for an average business to go on. So let's just use an average $2 million per year HVAC business, which is a number that I said earlier, in a decent profit margin. Let's just call it 15%. Okay. Well, that means that business has $4,657 in expenses per day. Rough math, right? Like and so if they have almost $5,000 in expenses per day to run a $2 million per year business, I mean, most people could never fathom spending that. Now, not all of it's spent on per day. I mean, sometimes there's things that are biannual or annual or monthly or bi-monthly or whatever it is. But it works out to be that $5,000 per day. If you actually educate people on that, and now as a homeowner, also understand that too. If you see a price for $1,000, well, they're not making $900 on that, right? The average profit margin in an industry is 3 to 5%. So they're making, I mean, you can do that on $1,000. You can run 3 to 5% on that. They should be making a little bit more. I mean, most businesses make money, right? That's the point of running a business, and also understand that, but it's not 90%, 15, 20% maybe, depending on the product. Depending on the service, depending on what you do.
It's a really good point. I feel like I've actually helped somebody on my website where I help homeowners go through that process. Newhvacguide.com plug. But I was talking to this lady a couple weeks ago, and I was explaining to her, maybe you don't always want to go with the cheap guy. Wouldn't you rather go with a company that's going to take care of you, and they will be in business 5 years from now, because you're not paying, that chuck in a truck price. That's
Mhm.
okay. Anyway, I dropped the links for these guys. They're way smarter than me on a lot of these topics, and make sure you go subscribe to their channel. And also dropped a link to their website in case you are a contractor and you're interested in some of the things these guys offer. You guys have anything else? Any other plugs that you want to throw out there, or anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
Yeah, go check out the resources on the new HVAC, or the HVAC guide for homeowners. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. You're putting out a ton of value for people. You're taking care of people. Like a lot of the contractors that I saw in the chats here. I mean, Jimmy from the HVAC Nerds does a tremendous job of marketing his business and really puts the technicians first and takes care of his techs to make sure they're over delivering on service and really taking care of homeowners. So I think there's more good technicians and good businesses than there are bad. So yeah, it's find the ones that are doing great work and then keep them. Don't let them go away.
I like it. Anything from you, Thaddeus?
I mean, echoing what Evan said, this has been a fun podcast. It's different too, because it's challenging our will to provide information to transition and spin it in a different way for others to have. So thank you for having us on. I know when to go back to that conversation of what we had. Well, is there a fit between us to be on each other's podcast? And the answer overwhelmingly is yes. And so continue doing what were you doing in finding that niche to be able to help homeowners wade through some things that are tricky, right? And keep on helping and keep on doubling down. And if you are a contractor, by the way, and I will plug On Purpose Media at this point, if you are a contractor and you are looking for a second opinion, I believe that was one of the links that you dropped in there, was the onpurposemedia.ca/second-opinion. Use that link, and we do no obligation marketing consultant analysis as well, where we'll look through things and give you a second opinion on what's going well and what's not going well, and actionable things that you can do on your own to be able to fix it should you want to do it, or take it to your current marketing company. There's no strings attached. We're just here to help and provide as much value as we possibly can, because at the end of the day, if a business is winning, regardless if they're using On Purpose Media or not, we're happy.
I like it. I like how that worked out. I was like, y'all have anything else to add? And you're like, do you have anything nice you want to say about me before we wrap up here? It worked out great. Don't go anywhere, guys. Thank y'all again for being here. And again, make sure you're subscribed to their YouTube channel. For the rest of you, I will be back next Tuesday night, same time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. And I'll be flying solo. I'll be answering all your questions live. With that, make it a great week. We'll see you then. Take care.